stop and take a little time out with me. Just take 5.
All right, we back at Take 5. Make sure y'all follow us everywhere: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X/Twitter. What am I missing? I'm missing something. I said YouTube, Twitch, TikTok. That's what I'm missing. We back with another Monday episode. Going to be talking about this NBA trade deadline. I've got my good friend and guest on this show, Mr. Joey. So how you doing this afternoon, I guess, middle of the day?
Doing all right. I'm looking forward to talking about these trade market right now. Probably more to come in the coming weeks. Got a whole month left until the trade deadline, so a lot to talk about here, and hopefully there's going to be a lot more to talk about in the coming months. So
yeah, man, a lot of rumors going around, and that's what we're doing here today. I just want to run some things by you. We got a lot of players that can potentially move before February or in February. So we want to talk about them. So make sure y'all, go check out his social media. Got it down below right there at Joey Costa. And let's get right into this show. But before we really dive in, I don't know if you saw, but Draymond Green, he came out with a podcast episode today, coming off of his suspension from the league, and kind of talked about his journey, what he's been going through over the past couple weeks, and it was pretty good. Did you see it or any clips?
I didn't catch any of the clips. I did. I did see that Adam Silver talked him out of totally retiring, but I don't know how to feel about that. I feel like you could skew it in a way like, oh, he's, you can't be hurting people without any sort of punishment, and it's just like, I could see it in a way where you could say, okay, he's not really taking as much accountability here, but at the same time, like with all that mental health stuff and all the, the therapy that he's probably gone through, I can't really discredit that. So, we're happy to see him that he's presumably doing better. I'm sure the Warriors can't wait to see him back on the court too. So, happy for him.
Yeah, man. I mean, in preparing for this episode, I would have had to watched it cover to cover. Like I really wanted to see what he had to say. And in addition to saying the right things, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta, I would be better or whatever. But it really seemed like this one struck home with him just for what he had to say about it. So anybody, watching this, YouTube, definitely watch the full thing, because you know how they pull those quotes out and they try and, make a narrative out of it. Like I think he really, addressed a lot of our concerns about it. But now let's get into this though. Let's get into these trades. So we had a trade, Joey. We kind of talked about it briefly on some previous episodes we did. OG Anunoby to the Knicks, RJ Barrett to the Raptors. Okay, so OG finally moved. What have you seen from the Knicks so far? What have you seen from the Raptors so far? Do you like the fit?
I like the fit with OG Anunoby on this Knicks team. I think it does give them some size. It does give them that perimeter stopper. The years before, when they've been in the playoffs, they've never had that go-to point of, I want to say point of attack, but I mean, like, they don't have the guy that they can rely on to clamp the best player. And now that they have that, and they got a guy who can reliably shoot from the outside as well, I love the fit. As much as I love the fit, I think you're banking a lot on, extending him after this season, because as I'm looking at the sheet right now, he's extension eligible after this season. He can opt into his player option. He can opt out. They got to, bring him back. But they gave up RJ Barrett. They gave up Emmanuel Quickley. They gave up, two of their young franchise cornerstones. And I think you got a lot of pressure to re-sign OG if you're giving up those two guys. Emmanuel Quickley, again, reigning, like, I don't remember, did he win Sixth Man of the Year last year or no?
He was a runner-up.
He was runner-up, yeah. But he's got He's a huge talent. He's, I think starting for this Raptors squad now.
Yeah,
But
he's big time.
he's big time. RJ Barrett, we already know what he can do. He's adding on to that already spectacular, efficient season that he's having this season.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think we'll have to time will tell until I can really, say whether they won this trade or not. I think it all depends on how they handle OG Anunoby's potential free agency after this offseason, if he opts in or not. So
Right. And I mean, we'd have to assume that conversation already was had. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they bring this guy in just for a win now, maybe situation. Like, obviously, yes, they're trying to win, but I think those extension talks have already happened. Another angle that was just brought, I think, yesterday, maybe. They waived Taj Gibson, their long standing Nick Thibodeau's guy. It just seems like the Knicks are planning something else. Like they're trying to bring in something else, maybe on the bench, to add to this team. Because yes, they do have a defensive stopper now, but I think they lost a lot offensively when you talk about RJ Barrett and quickly coming off your bench. So I'm interested. We could start with the Knicks here. Do you think that they should be active, even more active than they already have been? Even more active on that trade block.
I think they could try and find some fours. They could try and find some combo forward type guys. I mean, Mitchell Robinson obviously is hurt. Was definitely their backbone defensively, protecting the rim, getting some lobs, all that good stuff. So that injury definitely helped them. But Isaiah Hartenstein is really coming to his own when he's starting. He's giving them some really good starter minutes. I don't know how much longer until Mitchell Robinson comes back, but hopefully, I don't know.
He's done. I from what I've gathered, I think he's done for the year. Honestly, like I think he's gonna have to do a surgery, rehab type of process all over again. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough with him.
Yeah, I think in that case you definitely need some size. I mean, they got Precious Achua in that trade as well, but he's also 6'8". He doesn't provide like that. Doesn't provide that much size. He provides a lot of versatility, which is good, but I think you definitely need a little bit more size. You're missing one of the best rim protectors in the league. You're missing a guy who has a high shooting percentage around the basket. You're missing that kind of guy. You're missing a very reliable interior presence there, and I think you definitely just need more size. I think, in my opinion, I think as far as the guards, I think you're fine. You've got Jalen Brunson, of course. You got Josh Hart. You got Quentin Grimes. You got
right.
Deuce McBride's been all right. And something also worthy of note, Evan Fournier also, that huge contract that they have. He's got a team option this next season, so the Knicks could opt out of that, which I think they will, and they'll have a little bit more space to re-sign OG to a nice little contract. And also something to mention, I don't know if you know this, Morgan, but OG Anunoby's agent is Leon Rose's son. So
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, so they got a nice little runway there to kind of make something happen.
This is very true. You mentioned that name, Evan Fournier. He's not. I don't think he's on our list, but there's definitely been rumors about him. And them trying to actually move him early.
I don't think they're gonna make it happen. He's on an expiring deal, which is a little nice, but I think still having to pay that $18 million that he's owed this season. He's obviously they can kind of just like drop him. They can make him a free agent, but I think at that same time, like I don't know. I don't think they're gonna be able to get off them.
I don't know what value he has. I really don't at this point. He's definitely getting older too. I don't know. I really don't know. He's one of those weird players. Like I feel like he has all the skills in the world, but it's just never really fully panned out for him. So that's gonna be interesting to see. It's gonna be interesting to see. All right, Joey. So we got the spinner going.
Hey.
All right, so we got to go to our next destination, and definitely got to bring up some of these names. So let's see what we get here. So I'm looking at the Grizzlies. Okay. Grizzlies, pretty tough start to the season. Finally got job back, and they've looked a little bit better, but not really. Should they be aggressive during this deadline here?
I honestly think they need a little bit more time to see how Ja fits in with this squad personally. And I know he just got back. He's been back for maybe 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
I still think that he needs a little more time. I don't think that they need to aggressively pursue anyone right now. I think they're fine. I think they need more time to kind of feel it out. You know, Marcus Smart was injured too. He's just now starting to come back.
Yep, he came back, beat my Lakers, of course, in Staples Center, which was embarrassing. But yeah, he's back.
He's back. Derrick Rose, I think, is injured. I mean, I don't really think at this point, like, we really expect him to do much, but just
Right.
I think they got him more just for that locker room presence that he has. But I think we gotta see what they have now just to kind of see what we need here. There's not really a whole lot of pressure right now. Obviously, you know, the trade deadline's in a month, so
That's true.
They kind of got to feel it out. But
I don't know if I agree, though, Joey. I don't know if I agree, because you can't necessarily, because let's say they don't do anything at the trade deadline. Are they even making the play-in after this start? You know what I mean? Like, you're just wasting years of these guys' career. They're gonna be out there, hopefully not getting injured, what have you. I think you need to start building for next season as early as you possibly can. So when you have all these names out here, you know, that you could possibly add to this team, they definitely need depth at the center position. I don't really know.
I was just about to say that. That was the first thing that kind of came to mind too. Losing Steven Adams for the season, definitely not something you want to see. And Jaren Jackson Jr., say what you want about him, you know, not being able to rebound the basketball, but I think you definitely need that guy right next to him. I think that's what he's best at. I think you would, like, in an ideal world, you would want Jaren Jackson Jr. to be able to rebound the basketball better so that you can play him at that center position.
Right.
But I think, and Xavier Tillman, if I'm not mistaken, is also injured too. I think he is mistaken. Yeah. So,
and he's not bad, but I think he's a backup though. I don't think you can start him.
He's not. I don't think you're gonna. He was a reliable starter, I think, in the playoffs last year when Steven Adams was still down. But I think you definitely need a little bit more depth in that center position. I think that's what you do want. Someone who ideally can fit next to Jaren Jackson Jr. or just someone at the, you know, the power forward center position that can rebound the basketball that you can have next to Jaren Jackson Jr. So I think that's definitely something that you can look for.
For sure. Let's talk centers then. On my list right now that I can see, right? So obviously there's been some rumors about your guy Vucci, man, you know, Nikola Vucevic, right? You know, he's a potential guy that could move. And there's also been some rumbling surrounding Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know, but let's start with Vucevic. You're the Bulls fan here. So my first question is, do you think that you guys should keep him, you know, on your team, try and keep building?
No.
It's immediate.
No.
It's an immediate no.
And honestly, I love Vooch. I love all that he's done for us, even when he's, you know, not shooting the ball well at all. I think there's a lot of other ways that he can contribute. He's a really great connector piece, good interior presence, can stretch the floor if need be.
For sure.
I think he would be a very interesting fit right next to a defensive player of the year guy in Jaren Jackson. I think he can definitely rebound the basketball where it's needed. I think, you know, I think he might actually be a good fit now that I think about it, right next to Jaren Jackson. I think that's a very interesting fit.
He could be, but at the same time, I envision a healthy Grizzly squad that's competing as an up and down team, so a team that's going to be top 10 in pace. Another name that I kind of like even better is Nick Claxton. If they can find a way in, I don't know, that Brooklyn team, they've got a lot of pieces that are floating around right now that might be on the trade block. We don't really know, but if they can get a Nick Claxton in there, that's another. He's not as great of a rebounder, I'd say, but that's another defensive guy that's going to rim run for you on that team, and he could be good as well.
I don't know how you're scoring on inside on a front court of Jaren Jackson and
You know
Nick
what I
Claxton.
mean?
That's a really young, athletic.
Right.
That's a front court. Like
It
you
would
got the
be.
rim pressure.
It'd be
Claxton
lightning
even is
quick.
starting to shoot too. So
Yeah. No, that would be a lightning quick type of squad, but I think a lot of deal is being made out of that quote unquote hub guy, like a the Suns big man that's blanking.
Nurkic.
Nurkic, right? Some guy that's going to come in there. He's going to rebound, do a lot of the dirty work, but is able to move the ball around, shoot a jumper when necessary. I think that's the Vucevic route. But with Claxton, I'm looking at that defense. I'm like, that team identity that could be formed around that could be very nice. So I don't know if I had to vote. We're not going to talk about how a trade actually would be possible with this right now, because there's a lot of moving parts and that could be fluid. I like that Claxton fit for them. I don't know. Bringing a Claxton. And another area that they lack, I feel like, is that small forward position.
Yeah, you got a lot of size concerns you got a lot of guards.
Yeah.
You got Bane, who's having a spectacular year. You've got the guards. You got Marcus Smart back. You got John Morant back. Right. You've got some real size concerns when it comes to that three. I think that's definitely something worthy of note too. Now that I think about it, I'm starting to regret what I said about standing pat now. Thank you, Morgan. Thank you.
Yeah, that's what we're doing right here. Like we just want to make each other think about the possibilities. You know what I mean? Some things that these teams could look at when all these players are floating around and there's so many question marks. I'm getting ready to look up who the Grizzlies are starting at the 3 right now.
I think they're starting Bane right now.
Not at the 3, are they?
It's either Bane or I don't know. I think
you're right about that, actually. Yeah. So I think it's probably going to be like Smart, like Ja, Bane, and then Smart type of 3. It's not ideal.
I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. I really don't. You come up against some really sizable guys. Like you got I don't want to say who's guarding Kevin Durant, because obviously Marcus Smart is a great defender, but
I'm looking at
the bigger wing guys, bigger forwards. Like you got Bron, you got KD, you got
like Jalen Williams. He'll give you a bucket. I mean, there's a lot of good forwards out there that you have to go through. I think they definitely could up that spot. I don't know who you could put there. There's some pieces that are on this list, but I actually want to keep us moving for the sake of time. Mm-hmm. But that's something that they definitely got to look at. So I'm spinning this wheel again. And next we got a team, the Houston Rockets. Okay. Mm-hmm. Houston Rockets. I know you're an Alperen Sengun fan. You know what I mean? So we got to talk about what the Rockets could do here, because I think they shocked a good number of people with how they've been able to develop, and they've got a bunch of young pieces. Do you think they need to be looking at this trade deadline to try and add to their squad?
I think it also, this is another thing that, Dillon Brooks obviously is providing that good, I think that he's starting to become like a very lovable villain now, instead of like a most hated one, which I think is good.
Uh-huh.
He's shooting well for them. They got a lot of guys that they can really count on to do everything for this squad. They got Fred VanVleet, who I haven't really been keeping tabs on how he's been. I've only been keeping tabs on my guy Şengün, as you know.
Fred's been solid as far as I know. You know what I mean? He's been solid.
I still think he's overpaid, though. That's all I'm gonna say. But personally, I think they got a lot of guys that can do a lot for this team. They got Jabari Smith, who's starting to kind of find his niche in this system. They got a lot of these other utility players off the bench. They got Tari Eason. They got Amen Thompson, who recently just came back, very raw prospect. I don't know. I could say what I want about overtime elite, how they glazed the heck out of those two Thompson twins, but I feel like they glaze the Thompson twins more than their own teams do, but like that's just me.
Well, listen, what I've seen from those twins, they're gonna develop in this league. You know what I mean?
They will. They will.
Like that. They're gonna be two talents in this league that we have to keep eyes on. And with keeping that in mind, I'm of the mindset that the Rockets really shouldn't do much with this team yet. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say that too. I just didn't know what you were gonna say back. I thought you were gonna give me crap for saying, "Oh, you're just gonna say this."
Yeah.
Like, these people don't need to do much.
Right.
But
I just think because they have so many young players, though. It's a thing. They've got Jabari Smith over there. They've got Jalen Green over there. Now you bring in Amen Thompson. We've really got to see what these guys can be first. You know what I mean? Because let's say, I got to check the standings, but let's say they sneak into the play-in. Let's say they're able to sneak into the play-in. Yeah, they're here. They're number 8 right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you really get a chance to see playoff level setting. What do you actually need with this team, right? Because it's completely new already. You really get a chance to see what they need. So I think this summer, we're going to have a conversation about what they've done, and we'll be able to go from there. But for now, I think just, stay the course, keep developing, keep gaining that chemistry.
I agree.
We'll see what it is. All right, so my next team is the Timberwolves. All right. They're an interesting team. Number 1 in the West, right? So they're 25-10, getting closed in on by the Denver Nuggets slowly but surely. Do the Timberwolves need to do anything? So we mentioned Karl Anthony Towns. There's some rumors surrounding him, but I don't think anything very concrete. What do you think?
I think now that they're atop the West right now, I feel like any sort of serious, cat trades are dwindling at this point. I think now that, they're kind of figured out, they're starting to figure out the Cat Gobert pairing right now. I think they're starting to say, hey, like, this is Anthony Edwards' team. I think Cat's starting to defer, and he's, been okay doing that. I think right now, like, it's hard to avoid that eyesore of a contract that they signed him to 2 summers ago, I believe. I remember when I saw it, I was just like, "There's no way they're paying this man that much." And then altogether, they made that trade for Rudy Gobert last summer as well. So, I think it's hard because when I saw it, without seeing the the new TV deal that they get a lot more money, the second apron and all that, you're investing. Yeah, you're investing $100 million in those 2 guys, so the pressure's on to kind of figure that out, and I think they're doing a good job about it. They gave up a lot for Rudy Gobert, a lot of picks, so they needed to figure it out, and I think it looks pretty solid so far that Cat's been staying healthy, and Gobert has been looking like that DPOY guy, and I believe that they're still the number 1 defense, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong,
so. I think so. Um, with the Timberwolves, I think we're in the same boat surrounding Karl Anthony Towns' name. I feel like he's one of the most disrespected all stars that we have in this league. You know what I mean? Like we're talking about the guy that's, I think he's like the all time shooting big man. You know, just percentage wise, like he's a great talent, but I think come playoff time is where we're really going to see again what this team might need. I'm of the mindset that they might need a bench scorer, like a bench, really, type of guard that's going to come in, mix it up, get buckets. When it's going to be Anthony Edwards getting double teamed every possession. When it's Karl Anthony Towns not having a quote unquote superstar like impact in a playoff situation. Who is going to be the guy that steps up as the scorer? I can create my own shot. I can also get it from my teammates, etc. Now let's look at our list. Okay. With keeping that in mind, a name that's been floating around that I like a lot. I don't know if they do this based on, how this guy has been playing this year. Terry Rozier. Okay. If they can find a way to bring a Terry Rozier in after he's having honestly a career year for himself, I don't know if the Charlotte Hornets say, look, he's been great for us, but we believe in LaMelo so much that, once he comes back, we're going to let him have all the guard responsibilities. We're not going to try and, do this almost 1A, 1B type of thing where he comes in and takes a bunch of shots. If they look to move him, I'd say they need that bench scoring. You bring in a Terry Rozier, to me, that's a much better team, and you don't have to put so much on Anthony Edwards to get 30 in the playoffs. So much on Karl Anthony Towns to give you 25. I like that. What do you think?
I like that fit. I think the only obviously the only thing that I would really could be concerned about is his contract, and I don't know if he's still on that lucrative contract that he was signed to, that the Hornets signed him to not too long ago. But I think they negotiated a better contract for him. So I want to see what they got, what they're paying him right now.
And while you're looking at that, another interesting name, that we have here on this list that's kind of a similar, I'll call them similar players, but he also has a bad contract, is that Jordan Poole, for the Wizards. You could bring him off the bench and he could shake it up. But what you got?
Yeah, he's getting paid. Let's see, he's getting paid 23 mil this year, 25 next year, and 26 and a half in 2026. So that's a very high that's a very, very high contract. I don't know if they are going to be able to make that work, but
I don't know.
Definitely a very interesting thought, though.
But you see where I'm going with this. Like they brought in, I believe it's Shake Milton, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So they brought him,
I forgot they brought him in. Wow.
Yeah, because he plays sometimes. You know what I mean? He's not like a big minute guy for them, to my understanding. But that's the direction I think they need to go in. They need a guard that's going to come in and get buckets. I think that's just me. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a guard. What about a Spencer Dinwiddie? That's another name that we have here.
That could be a really nice fit. I mean, he can make a few plays for you. You know what I mean? Get his own shot. Spencer Dinwiddie would be a very interesting fit for that Timberwolves team. I think he could be really impactful. I think, as long as you don't give up Mike Conley, because I think he's also deserving of some credit to unlocking this offense with Rudy Gobert, with Karl Anthony Towns. He's played with Rudy Gobert for several years in Utah, so kind of knows what he likes, how to how to run this shindig. But I think as long as as long as you don't give up Mike Conley, because I think he's so integral to this Timberwolves offense, I think you're going to be good for a guy like Spencer Dinwiddie.
I definitely hear that. You may have to look at that Mike Conley contract as well. Like, I don't know how long he's going to be there for them. I feel like the first episode we did, I think we kind of talked about maybe trying to bring in a guy like a Tyus Jones or something like that could fit in for Mike Conley if he ultimately decides to retire or something like that.
Yeah, Mike Conley is a free agent after this season. He's getting paid $24 million, but I definitely don't think that he's going to be getting that sort of contract. But
yeah. So, hey, I said Tyus Jones too. That's another interesting name, but that's what I think they need. A guard to come in off the bench, can get his own shot, play the pick and roll, and take some of the pressure off those starters, I think.
I think if you're able to bring back Mike Conley for the low, then I'm a huge fan of it.
Yeah, I agree. Next team we got is the Dallas Mavericks, another interesting team. Okay, so they've been playing interesting up and down basketball. We can point to injuries to their stars, Kyrie and Luka, playing a part in this, but they're 22-15, 6 in the West. Do they need to make some moves, some changes?
I think right now, I think they could use some type of help off the bench as far as wings go. Personally, I think they got their answer at center that they've been looking for years next to Luka. They got Derek Lively, huge fan of him.
Yep.
I think Grant Williams has been fine for them.
Yep.
Tim Hardaway Jr. he smoked my Bulls a long time back because we just kept leaving him open for some reason.
He's in rumors too now, so I don't know if he'll be there or not, but he's a good player.
I think he's definitely a good player. I think you just need to look at wings right now, maybe a backup big, because I think Dwight Powell is still your backup big. You got Maxi Kleber playing some minutes down there too. I think you definitely could use an upgrade at your backup big, maybe some wing help. Guys that can play defense. I think Derek Jones Jr. has been doing really good for them, benefiting from a really good playmaker like Luka,
right?
And guys like Kyrie that could space the floor, all of that stuff too. I think I think you need guys that can defend who can also shoot. You just need that 3-and-D sort of prototype guy for this team and a backup big man.
Definitely, yes. What I mean? They definitely could use that. Definitely on the defensive end, I'd say. That's always going to be a concern come playoff time.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been linked to these Pascal Siakam rumors. You know what I mean? Should they try and bring in like a Pascal if they can as that third all-star on that team?
I think they definitely should shoot for it if they can. I think that would be a very interesting fit alongside Luka, alongside Kyrie. I think that, and Pascal, he's 29. I think he's going to be turning 30 very soon. So he's not getting any. He's not old by any means, but he's definitely I think his prime years are starting to catch up a little bit. But I definitely think they could benefit from a guy like Pascal. He's also very underrated playmaker at that power forward position, might I add. So
for sure. Yeah.
I think the schemes that Jason Kidd can run with those guys and Pascal and have them play defense. I think if I remember correctly, I think Tim Hardaway Jr. is making a fair amount of money. So I think if they could swing a trade for him, around him, maybe Josh Green. I think that would. I think if I'm from the Toronto Raptors, I think I'm very interested on what Josh Green can give me. A young guy like Josh Green, I think you're looking to send Gary Trent Jr. out of the window. I think this might be his last year of his contract, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yeah, he's on the list for sure.
I think that's also something very interesting to keep note of. I think that's something. I think that's something that the Mavs should definitely look at. That's for sure.
Let me play devil's advocate just for a second. Okay. Because obviously, sure, you want to stack your stars as much as you can. We know what Pascal Siakam brings to the table. And last year I said he was on the cusp of superstardom the way he was playing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like he definitely can get buckets and he definitely rebounds the ball at a high level. He's a great player.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what? Have you seen what Porzingis is doing this year?
He is turning back the clock right now. He is something different.
Listen, I know Luka. He's getting older. You know what I mean? He's getting more mature, understanding how to play without the ball, maybe just a little bit, perhaps, if you want to say that. You cannot bring in another guy that needs the ball with this guy. Like Luka's a great player. He's a superstar, top 5 MVP voting. I'm not trying to knock the guy, but he's a black hole with the basketball. All right. The offense is going to run through him, and that's final. You know what I mean? Get the rebound off the glass and put it up if you want to. Catch the ball out of this double team. That's how we're gonna run this offense, and that's not how it's gonna. That's how it's gonna be. I worry you bring in a Pascal Siakam, it just ends up another Porzingis-like situation where you've got this guy who's obviously talented, but he's not going to be utilized to fullest extent, and it's ultimately going to hurt not only his pride, ego, whatever, but it's ultimately going to hurt the team when, he's standing somewhere in a corner while Luka, he's on his James Harden stint is hitting step back threes or whatever. That's my only pushback with bringing in another all-star. You know what I mean? So that's why I kind of like your sentiment about another 3-and-D guy, somebody that's more locked down, whatever. I would have loved an OG Anunoby to go over there.
That's what I would have said. If they found a way to get an OG Anunoby, oh my goodness.
Right. That's the kind of player I think they need. But I got to talk about my Hawks a little bit. I got to talk about my Hawks. We wanted OG as well, but that's not the point I'm trying to make. The Mavericks could use a Clint Capella type of player. All right. Maybe not to start, but to come off the bench, veteran presence. He's going to catch a lob, do a lot of the dirty work that they will need come playoff time. And he's bigger, stronger, more experienced than a Derek Lively. So when you do have to come in and face a Jokic, maybe a Gobert, something like that, it's just another body you can put in there that might be able to not get pushed out the paint as much, is all I'm saying. So that's the kind of player I think they may need, somebody to do the dirty work, as well as maybe another 3-and-D wing, like you're saying.
If I'm not mistaken, Clint Capella is making like $20 million a year, somewhere upwards of that right now. So I think it's expiring. I think this is either his last season on his deal or second to last season on his deal. But I definitely think if the Mavs can swallow, they can have that. If they have that financial flexibility right now, I don't know what their luxury tax situation is right now, but especially after that deal that they gave Kyrie this offseason. I'm not really sure, but I think if they can swing a deal for Clint Capella to come off the bench, maybe give Derek Lively a little bit of a rest, they could get Dwight Powell out of there, because honestly, at this point, he's not really much use to you.
Yeah, not a huge fan, but other teams could definitely use him. So I don't know. I'd pick the phone for that. I definitely would. So on my spinner, I got the Warriors. I got reports that they're not doing anything, though. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to leave them alone. I'm going to leave them alone for now. The next team I got is the Los Angeles Clippers. They've done a lot already. I don't know that they do anything at this point, anything further with this team. That's just me.
I think there's very little that they can do right now, if anything, just because of, I think James Harden has his contract ending at this season. I think all of their main guys, like, they run the risk of losing all their main guys for nothing this offseason. Will they? I don't think so. But I think I think there's pressure, but it's also they don't have much that they can do with this team right now.
Yeah.
I think they already benched PJ Tucker, which kind of sucks. I don't think he's really been contributing much for them, getting him in the James Harden deal. But
that's a player that they could move just for room, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I think there are teams that could benefit from a PJ Tucker still at this point of his career. My Hawks being included, finally getting a tough guy on that roster. Like, I wouldn't mind that.
that'd be a
It's
nice fit.
interesting. I think it could be. I definitely think it could be. Next team I got is one that we may have to spend a little bit of time on. The Detroit Pistons. All right. So the Detroit Pistons, they claim to wanting to be aggressive during this trade deadline for obvious reasons, but they really don't want to get rid of Bojan Bogdanovic. So what do you think the Pistons can do to maybe, I won't say turn around the season, but at least move in the right direction with this squad?
I think they need to stop being so attached to Bojan. I think he's a really good piece. I think a lot of teams could want him.
Definitely, everybody like
Joe Harris the same way. I don't know how his shooting splits are this year. If he's been hurt, I don't know. But,
he's been in and out. Yeah, he's
been in and out. I think Joe Harris is definitely another piece that you could definitely look to move, if anything. I think you're kind of doubling down on this core of Cade. You've got Jaden Ivey, who's been playing really good ever since Monty Williams finally took him long enough to start starting him over Killian Hayes, which still is mind-boggling to me. I think he's going to be out. He honestly is probably going to be out of the league after this season, to be honest with you. But
I'm not picking him up. I don't know. I don't know what everyone else is thinking. He's not on my team. Like, my God.
I think if you're not so attached to Bojan, I think you definitely could get some real value out of him. Definitely get some picks. I think
they've got to, man. I don't get that. I really don't get the Bojan thing. And Joe Harris, that's another name you brought up. He for sure would get a lot of value from some teams that need that bench shooter. You can go down the list of teams that are at the bottom of the league in shooting, and they could probably use him for sure. But what about this big man situation that they have? Like, they've got Jalen Duren, they've got Bagley down there. They've also got Wiseman that they picked up. And it's just, I think they still have Isaiah Stewart. Do they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. I think from my understanding of what I've seen on, the glorious NBA Twitter, formerly NBA Twitter, I guess NBA X just doesn't have a nice ring to it, but I think they like Isaiah Stewart. I think they can bring him off the bench, but I think it's as far as what Monty Williams has done, I think in his tenure as coach, I think the only problem that I think he's really solved is, hey, Jalen Duren is our guy at center, and that's it. That's it. Like he's made it abundantly clear, and anyone and my problem with that is like anyone could have freaking told you that. Anybody could have.
For sure.
But I don't know what kind of value you're going to get out of Marvin Bagley or James Wiseman at this point. That's the difficult thing.
I mean, on the surface, for sure, but let's think of teams that just need size. You know what I mean? Just need some athletic bigs to come in, because we have to understand that on Detroit Pistons, you're not just a dunker spot type of role usually. You know what I mean? Like, your role is going to be a lot of, you may get the ball in the low post. You know what I mean? You may have to do a bunch of these other things. What I'm trying to say is, let's think of teams that need you to fulfill one role and one role only, right? Rim run, grab the ball off the glass. That's what I think of. I'm just gonna let me just go to these standings. Obviously, I'm thinking about my Atlanta Hawks. I feel like if
That's
you
what
put
I was gonna say too.
right, like if you put a Bagley with a Trae Young, you know what I mean? Just run the floor, screen. He's gonna make you look like a much better player than you are.
Mm-hmm. I think the Mavericks do maybe
possibly, like we
I
talked
think,
about Clint.
yeah.
It's possible off the bench, right? I'm looking at maybe the Knicks, like we said, they could use a little bit more size if Mitchell Robinson's not going to be there. Contracts have to make sense, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at Cleveland just for a guy off the bench to keep bringing some size next to Mobley and Allen. I'm looking at Indiana for some more size. I don't know if these guys are heat culture players, you know, so I'll leave
Really
that
don't.
alone. I'll leave that alone. Depending on what Brooklyn does, it's possible, right? If I want to go to the West, if we want to send them back out West,
maybe the Warriors.
Phoenix?
Maybe Phoenix. I will never see Phoenix really because of their situation we got, and I think we'll talk about them in a little bit. But
yeah,
they're in definite need of a playmaker, of a pure playmaker, a pure ball mover, and I think that would just not be beneficial for a guy that like a roll to the rim type of guy like Marvin Bagley or James Wiseman at that point. I just don't see how that would be beneficial for them.
Let me just say, off topic, and I've been saying this for weeks now, maybe months actually. Yeah, probably since the beginning of the season. Devin Booker is not a point guard. All right, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's
Bradley Beal is not a point guard.
Bradley Beal is not. He is not a point guard. All right, it's very difficult to play the point guard position. A lot of people want to give him a pass, like, oh, he's been pretty good. He's been no. You need a true facilitator, a guy to come in, handle the ball, handle pressure, and get other people involved. That's you need one guy to do that job. When we start talking about guys that score and assist, we're getting into the Trae Youngs and it's difficult to do.
Yeah,
the Luka Doncic, like it's very, very difficult to do. There's only a few people that can do it right now. That's all I want to say.
You can say about all the injuries that you want about your Phoenix Suns, but at the same time, they're ninth in the West right now.
Yeah,
they struggled.
And one could have predicted these injuries, though. You know what I mean? Like we knew this would happen, but go ahead.
At the same time, it's like if you need a guy that can get the ball to their scores, that can get all these other guys involved. Grayson Allen's really good role player for them. Yeah. I think Nurkic is a nice connector piece for them, but like he's not. Nurkic is not going to be your point guard. Newsflash, it's just not. He's not going to be that. But
no.
You have all these guys that can play make a little bit, but it's more so like you need that guy. You're gonna miss a guy like Chris Paul in that system who you're not gonna need to take a lot of shots, but you definitely need him to get them all to keep the ball moving.
Then let's just go ahead and knock off the Suns because that is what they need. I mean, that's
yeah. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it at this point.
And Tyus Jones, I feel like, is the only guy that, out of what list I have at least, is the only guy that I feel like can fulfill those types of duties for that team. That's how I feel. I don't know if you know anybody else, but to me, that's the guy that if they can, I don't know if they can with what they've done with that team. If they can do it and do it immediately. Next squad I've got here is my Los Angeles Lakers. So, Joey, I'm going to ask you, what do we need to do?
Fire Darvin Ham?
Possibly.
And pray. Fire Darvin Ham and pray.
All right. All right. I see where this is going now. I see where this is going. Joey, you remember, this was only a few months ago. It feels like a long time, but this was only a few months ago. NBA X, NBA Twitter, media, everybody, we were raving about the offseason moves that the Lakers made. We added to our core that got us to the Western Conference Finals. And we thought that we had a pretty great team, in doing so. As a Lakers fan, I've seen the team through ups. I've seen the team through downs, right? I've seen players play well. I've seen them play poorly. I know that we're not a great shooting team. And, these things can be rectified. I'm here to tell you that I'm not worried. I am not worried not at all. All right. Obviously, yes. We've had some terrible losses over the past few weeks. This much is true. I understand. But if we have all of these guys playing at one time, right? I do not think we need to make any type of drastic change to this team. We will be good. We just need to be out of that play-in situation. So when we talk about Lakers and their rumors, obviously people talk about taking your Bulls and just adding them to the squad, without giving up much of anything. Like it was maybe a Rui Hachimura or something like that. Like the only thing that I saw that could be okay, and I don't know how this happens. If we bring in DeMar DeRozan and Caruso, I'll be okay. You know what I mean? Like that might look very good, but I just don't see us giving up on a lot of these players, and I don't know if y'all would even want some of these players that we'd have to give up on, and for that whole thing to make sense. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, if I'm not getting Austin Reeves in a return for Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan, I have very little interest because I don't think they have very much draft capital to provide
Not at all.
So I if I get, Austin Reeves and Rui, fine. I don't want D'Angelo Russell. I'm sorry. Keep calling. Best of luck for them. I don't want D'Angelo Russell on my basketball team.
For sure. And even Reeves. Reeves is a good player for our team. I don't know if you put Reeves on the Bulls, give him a lot more responsibility than he has now. I don't know if he's a great player. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if he's going to take your team anywhere or help with that rebuilding process. I don't know. We paid him too. So
we're not looking for, like a saving grace at this point. We just need, at this point, I think we need to tear down. I've said this several times,
Yeah.
We need young talent. We need picks. We need it all. We need it all. Because
for sure
we gave the Vooch trade obviously was a very lost cause. We gave the Magic pretty much, Franz Wagner. We gave them, I think they got Jet Howard with that pick in this year's draft. I don't think they got Anthony Black. I think Anthony Black was their own pick, but I mean, we could have had a chance to draft, Grady Dick at that position.
Yep.
And I definitely think, the Magic definitely should have drafted Grady Dick at that position over Jet Howard, because what is Jet Howard doing for that team right now?
Besides, no idea.
I couldn't tell you, but I think we could have used a Franz Wagner, we could have used, Grady Dick, but you know what? Like, that's all in theoreticals at this point. Who would Franz Wagner be the same player on our team than he is on the Magic right now? I don't know. But
then let's talk Bulls then. So obviously you're saying that you're of the mindset this team needs to be sellers when it comes to this deadline.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So what exactly are you hoping to get in return?
Picks, young players. That's pretty much it. Like, you need At this point, you need to tear down. I think I've seen enough out of Kobe White, Io, Patrick Williams when he's given the opportunity on a team that doesn't have, Zach LaVine. The Vooch injury definitely hurt them a little bit, I think.
For sure.
Not having that connector
Yeah.
piece, having Andre Drummond start, and he's been good. He's been good when he was starting, but I think this team has definitely lost a step as far as the ball movement goes when Vooch was out. But I
Right.
think it's definitely going to be hard to try and find a good quality package for these guys. They say Zach LaVine, like there's not really much of a market for him, but I think that little run that the Bulls went on without him definitely hurt his value a little bit. If I'm
for
being
sure.
honest,
And just the, I guess, the optics of how he's been acting, if you will. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how you feel about some of the things that have came out from just camps around the Bulls about how he is displeased and this, that, and the other. He's acting like he wants to get traded, but at the end, he saying he doesn't want to get traded.
he's like lying through his teeth, pretty much.
Pretty much. So it's just weird with him. But okay, so you mentioned the picks, right? So the teams, you're gonna have to help me with this, but the first team that comes to mind when we talk about having those draft picks is the OKC Thunder. You know what I mean? I think they have a lot of picks that they're harboring right now, and they have the opportunity to make a lot of moves. So,
right. And from that team, if I'm looking to make a trade with the Oklahoma City Thunder, I'm pretty much I'm okay. Like I'm not gonna get a Josh Giddey. I'm not going to get a Jalen Williams. That's a stretch. That's a huge stretch.
I don't know if Giddey is a stretch. Giddey with picks, I don't know if that's a stretch. I don't know why. I don't know what they would get in return. You know what I mean? Like what they genuinely want as a team, especially right at this very moment. But I don't know if that's a stretch. I don't.
But I think like a guy, I don't think they're looking to give up, Cason Wallace, especially with how good he's been shooting.
Nah, yeah.
Like I don't think so. Isaiah Joe, same thing. He's been one of the best shooters in the league for the past like few seasons.
Right.
If I'm pretty much just talking to them for picks at this point. I think I don't know what kind of young players that I would be able to get out of them at that point.
They're also good.
They're also good. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like I'm talking to them purely for pick purposes, but I also don't know what I'd be giving them in return for those picks.
I'm in the camp that the Thunder should just be patient, see what they look like in the postseason situations, and see what they can add from that point. But Josh Giddey's not doing anything crazy. You know what I mean? We know that he also has off the court, issues or whatnot, and this just something that you don't really want around your team. I'd say, you know what? If I'm on the phone, I'm like, listen, we want your draft picks, but we're able to give you an Alex Caruso. You know what I mean? So if you want to do, Caruso for some picks, that that might move me. And then when you talk Josh Giddey, maybe I'm gonna botch your guy's name. Big man down low, patching his hair. Man. You know who I'm talking about.
This is bad. Patching his hair.
You know exactly who I'm talking about.
Patrick Williams?
Patrick Williams. Slide me a Patrick Williams off my bench for some toughness and a little bit more size. We'll give you Giddey, help with that rebuilding. I don't know.
Maybe. I think it also depends because Patrick Williams is going to be a restricted free agent this offseason. So you gotta pay to retain him as well.
I didn't know that. Okay. But You see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know if I'm personally giving up Patrick Williams though.
I know he's your
I
guy.
just don't know.
Yeah,
Like
I
if
know he's your guy.
I was open to trading him because he's been so bad, but now that I've seen what he can do without Zach LaVine, without that sort
Yeah.
of like ball stopper on that team, and the potential of these young guys, I'm like, okay, like I'm more content about the future of the Bulls' direction now, knowing that a Zach LaVine trade is imminent, and DeMar DeRozan trade is imminent. Hopefully we can get him out. I don't really want to lose DeMar DeRozan for nothing at this point. He's a great guy, great player.
He is.
I don't know. Vooch, I would love to build his value a little more, so I wouldn't be mad at keeping him around for a little bit longer, as long as we, kind of get some good value, squeeze some good value out of him. So
it'd be interesting, but I don't know. Like, I think at the very least, that Caruso for picks, maybe. You know what I mean? I that might be something worth your while. If
you're probably gonna have to, in my opinion, I think you're definitely gonna have to attach Caruso onto Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan to get a little bit more value out of them. I think you're probably gonna have to. I think you might have to, like, depending on what direction you go, whether you trade DeMar, you get a little bit more value out of him. I think that would be a great path to go down.
The next direction I want to go with this is Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan. You talked about attaching Caruso to one of them, probably. I think this Philadelphia 76ers need another guy. All right. I've been saying this all year. I know they've been a top 3 team in the East. I know they played some good basketball with, obviously Embiid having an MVP like season. Maxi's really come on strong. They got some
good returns from the Harden trade too. Batum's been good for them.
Definitely.
Marcus Morris, I don't think has been playing a whole lot. I don't think KJ Martin's been playing a whole lot for them.
Right.
But Batum has helped this team. Tyrese Maxey, of course, he's been budding into the young potential all-star that he is. Yeah. So like I think a guy next to him would be great. I think it's just a matter of I just don't know what kind of stuff that you could provide me in return for trading away, a Zach LaVine and Alex Caruso, or DeMar DeRozan and Alex Caruso. I just don't know.
They've always been, I know, not for you guys. Like, they're obviously probably gonna have to get another team involved with this if they want to do something like this. But they've always dangled Tobias Harris' name in these talks.
His contract is expiring too. He's a free agent.
Contract is expiring. He's a good player. You know what I mean? He's a forward that can score. He'll rebound the basketball. He's a vet, knows exactly what he's doing, knows the right spots. There are teams that could use a Tobias, I feel like. I feel there are teams that could use him. But my main point about this, though, is with this Philly team, they're not going to make it, Joey. I don't even know, depending on matchups, I don't even know if they get out the first round, you know what I mean, with this squad that they have put together here. I don't know that. I really don't. That's just me. I know Embiid is great, but he has to make it to the postseason now. All right. Those knees, those ankles have to make it. All right.
I think it depends on the matchup, though. Who are you playing in the first round, though?
I mean, if it's today, if it's today, who does a 3 play? The 6?
Yeah.
So Cleveland's sitting at the 6 right now. But I'm envisioning it'd be like a team like either Cleveland or the Knicks, something like that.
Yeah.
Possibly the Heat, depending on how, they go.
I don't like that Heat. If they play the Heat, I don't like that matchup for them at all.
I don't like that matchup. I don't like that matchup.
I don't like it at all. But I think
No.
if they play anyone else, I think or even the Cavs,
Oh.
maybe. I don't know. I really don't know.
The
But
healthy Cavs.
the healthy Cavs, I don't know if I like that even, really. I mean,
That might be, but that might be the most favorable out of, we're talking Cavs, Knicks, and maybe the Heat. You know what I mean? If they see whatchamacallit, the Knicks, even as constructed, that's not an easy series. I mean, that's not pretty. You're not getting out of that in
the
5
the
or
only
6.
favorable matchup I see if they like in that 6th position is the Magic. That's it. That is it.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. I'm of the mindset that their Magic are going to drop way down, but by the end of the year, I mean. But again, that's what you want to see. You'd want to see a Brooklyn again if they can make that happen. But I'm not, and that's just the first round. I mean, what are we doing as Sixers? You know, if you're a Sixers fan, what are we doing right now? You know what I mean? Can you definitively tell me that they're going to get out of the second round this year with this squad as constructed?
I don't think so. No shot.
Like I don't see that. I don't see that happening. Like we're talking about Embiid averaging 40.
I
Right?
think the Celtics and the Bucks are too good. The Celtics and the Bucks are
They're too good. They're too good for sure. And it's going to be hard to compete with them regardless of what you do. But if you can bring in another star like a DeMar, like a Zach, something like that, then I'm like, oh, maybe.
Okay, maybe moves the needle. You bring in
you have a puncher's chance.
You got a really nice. You've already got D'Anthony Melton, who's a pretty underrated defender, in my opinion.
Yeah,
he's really solid. Yeah, he's a shooter. You know, I don't know how all of that Maxey is as a defender. I think maybe there's potential there. I don't know. Not
size wise, you know what I mean? It's just gonna be tough.
Size wise, probably not. I don't know. I feel like I have to ask Ian if he was here what he thinks about that. But I don't know. I think I would listen. I think it just depends on what kind of young guys and draft capital you have to offer me in return for a Alex Caruso, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan type deal. But I don't know.
This is all true, but I don't know. Like we're gonna have to get other teams involved and try and do something. But I don't think that they can stay put with their squad as constructed. Even adding, let's say another 3-and-D guy, or maybe a backup big. I don't think that's enough.
Even if you get even if you do get a third team involved in that situation, I feel like what are the Sixers going to give up to that third team? Or what are the Bulls going to give up to that third team to warrant that third team giving the Bulls that kind of like draft assets that they're looking for? That's my kind of thought process on it.
You don't think Tobias is worth some draft picks?
Maybe one first round pick, like maybe one first rounder.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to look at that. I feel like Tobias, he might be worth it. He might be worth it in that type of swap, but it has to make sense for these teams. So I don't know how they do it, but they got to get somebody in there, that Philly team. I'm telling you, they have to. They have to, man. Okay, so there's a couple more names that I want to mention here before we wrap this thing. Let's say, first and foremost, this Donovan Mitchell thing. I just want to say that the Cavs know better than NBA Twitter. You know what I mean? They're not getting rid of this man. There's no package. There's nothing that you can offer them, in my personal opinion, that is worth giving away Donovan Mitchell. He's killing right now without Darius Garland and Mobley. You're going to get rid of this guy? No, unless he wants out, it's not happening. Never. That's just me.
I agree. I can't in good faith see the Cavs getting rid of a guy like that. I really can't.
Nah.
Kobe, I have so much faith in Kobe Altman. I think he's a great GM. I think
Mhm.
he's a smart guy. I think that he's too smart to just get rid of Donovan Mitchell, get spooked by all these rumors and stuff. So
No, man. I don't see it happening. With that same sentiment, not the same sentiment. Let me backtrack just a little bit. The Hawks, DeJounte Murray. Okay. So many rumors that make absolutely no sense to me about this guy. I watch the Hawks every single night. The thing about DeJounte is he's taken a step back defensively. That these rumors are true. All right. He's not the same defensive player he was even when he first got to the Hawks, but he's still pretty good. He's worked on his jump shot a lot. So he's actually a pretty good scorer right now. The fit with Trae Young, it's been rocky. You know what I mean? Like just that type of 1-2 punch. It's definitely been rocky. But with all that being said, you don't get rid of this guy for an Austin Reeves. You don't get rid of this guy to the Knicks or all these other crazy things. I think the Hawks are just going to keep this guy and keep it rolling, try and add some more pieces in the forward and center position. That's me.
yeah, and if I'm the Hawks too, I gave up too much draft capital for that man. They gave up 3 first rounders. They gave up 2 unprotected first rounders and a pick swap for
That's what
this
I'm
man.
saying.
You're like I'm not looking to give up that man so easily, no matter how rocky the Trae
Right.
Young pairing is with him.
Right.
So
And all I know is I went to Vegas last summer. You know what I mean? So I saw Trae Young and DeJounte Murray there. They're sitting next to each other. They're chopping it up. You know what I mean? These guys are good with each other. So I don't know, like, there's no relationship tension or anything like that I can tell from these guys. I don't know why DeJounte would want to leave. I don't know. That we give him the rock. He has a lot of free reign on this thing. I don't see it. I think we need to add elsewhere. Another name, Lauri Markkinen. First of all, do you think he's moving at the deadline?
I don't think so. I really don't. I think unless Danny Ainge has offered some sort of like ungodly, insane
Yeah,
mother like the
yeah,
kitchen sink,
yeah,
I don't see him moving. I really don't. Because
yeah,
he's not gonna move Laurie for, like 1 or 2 draft picks. Like he's looking for the kitchen sink. He's looking for good young players. He's looking for a lot of picks, you know.
and of
I
course
I,
the uh-huh.
I just don't see it.
And of course the assets aside, though, is what I'm saying is you have to fit somewhere. What team do we circle and say, okay, we need a guy like Lauri Markkinen to come in. He can get the ball enough to where he can make an impact offensively. And I don't really know how great of a defensive player he is. I know he's a big guy, so it's not like, he's probably not a bad defender. But what team do you really circle and say, okay, we're going to bring him in? I was, I'm a Hawks guy. You know what I mean? We could use another star caliber player, but at the same time, we got this guy, Jalen Johnson. Let me tell you
Yeah,
something
Jay,
about Jalen Johnson. And he can play. The man can ball. Like, and he's young too. I don't know.
I don't think the Hawks would be that good of a destination for Laurie Markin. And me personally, like you said, you got Jalen Johnson. But also, if you're
Yeah.
keeping DeJounte Murray and you have Trae Young on that team, when is Laurie Markin going to get the ball to operate? He's going to look like he did on the Cavs and on the Bulls. So, like
Probably.
you're giving up all of that just for like what do you
Yeah.
if you're giving up all of that salary, all the young players, all the picks for him, and I'm just like, why?
Well,
It wouldn't make sense.
let me say this though. This is a similar player to him, and it's probably I think it's one of the last names that I'm mentioning here. A similar player to him with a weird contract, I might add. Okay, yeah, he has a weird contract. Jeremiah Grant. Okay. That's a player I would like to see as a Hawk. All right. Contract aside, that's a guy that I could use, right? We're talking about an athletic big man forward, you know what I mean, that could come in, he can shoot the ball a lot better than he could early in his career. He has that toughness, he has that grit. I think he just needs to be in a place where he's not required to be the number one option, number two option. You know what I mean? I think he might look pretty good in a Hawk uniform. That's me.
You look really good on that Denver bubble team when he was playing there before he signed with the Pistons because he wanted more of an opportunity. And I think
Yeah.
we know that and obviously, like, we know that he is capable of that, but I think that's not where his use lies. And I think that's
Okay.
why Portland kind of paid him that sort of money. I really think that Jeremy Grant's destiny is to be like a good, very like high tier role player, but
Yeah.
I think that they're playing him like an all-star, and he's not that. That's not where his use lies.
He's not gonna win you games himself.
No.
Is what
No.
I believe. Like that's not the type of player he is, but he's so talented to where I think you third option. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's a
I
very
think
solid third option, but I
I
think
think he
he's
can
just
be
not
that.
worth that money. I would
Yeah.
have loved to have him on my Bulls back when he was in Detroit and he was on that sort of trade market, but I think
Yep.
at that same time I was not trying to trade for them for that. I was not trying to trade for that contract and his aspirations to get a big contract.
Yeah.
I just don't think that would have been a very smart move, and especially, with I think at that point Lonzo Ball was already hurt. We're not sure when he's going to come back. Like, you're not going to get the opportunities when you're on a team with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and no real point guard to kind of dish the rock.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of opportunities are you going to get? Very little. I just think that
And,
just wouldn't be worth it.
I'm telling you, my Hawks. You know what I mean? Trae Young will get you the ball. I'm trying to tell you, like Trae Young will feed you in the post if necessary. We haven't had that type of guy. John Collins was not that guy. Let me just.
He was never that guy.
He was never that guy. We bring in a Jeremiah. I think it would look good. I really do. And I don't know. Again, I don't really. This notion that defense wins championships, I understand it all. Hawks suck defensively. That's probably our main issue that we need to fill in fast, very fast. But I don't see Jeremiah as being a slouch. You know what I mean? He's an athlete, could cover, some centers, some forwards, right? He could probably switch a little bit. I think we could put him to use. That's all I'm saying. So that's what I'm lobbying as a however you want to say it, best case, right?
Mhm.
Best case scenario, we bring in him, maybe a Pascal. I don't think I think we're out of that right now. But we bring in one of those two guys and let's go to war. I don't know though. All right, few more, man. Few more. Let's see. Gordon Hayward is a name that's been lobbied around. He's 34 years old right now. Doesn't really fit with the youth of the Charlotte Hornets and the direction that they're going right now. Do you see him moving to a different team?
I think I see him moving a different team, but I think also he's on in the last year of his contract. He's supposed to be an unrestricted free agent after this season. I think teams may just wait until free agency to kind of get a crack at him, sign him to a lower contract to where he can still be useful to a team, but also kind of, they don't have to worry about it that much. Because I think all the injuries that Gordon Hayward has had to deal with in his career ever since he left the Utah Jazz, I think it's just kind of it's hurt him a lot. And I think, I just want to see Gordon Hayward be put in a situation where, he doesn't get labeled with a big contract and kind of is able to help a team. Because I remember when the bubble happened and they lost Gordon Hayward in free agency, they missed Gordon Hayward for a while. They really did. They missed having that sort of point guard because, Kemba wasn't there anymore. Or Kemba was still there, but he wasn't like he's not a true traditional point guard, and I think
Yeah.
they missed that a lot out of him. And Gordon Hayward was that sort of playmaker that kind of connected all the pieces together. So I just want to see Gordon Hayward in a role where he can thrive and not have to worry about all the contract stuff.
Yeah. See, we're real hoop fans, so we understand that Gordon Hayward is he was a big time player. You know what I mean? Like the injuries really hurt.
He's not a bum. He's not a bum.
He's not a bum at all. He is a very good player, even to this day. So it's again, I'm looking at these teams that I like. You're mentioning wait till free agency though. Wait till the summer, see what it's gonna be. But I like these teams that need a veteran presence, maybe even just to come off the bench, get buckets, run that pick and roll, get guys involved, and just be a calming presence on the team because I think he still has more left to give. Even if it's just, just being a jump shooter, just being
I agree. I agree.
I think he could definitely help a team. But with that, you got anything about like a Dorian Finney-Smith or a anything like that?
Not really. I think if I'm the Nets too, I think it's a solid team to kind of end on. But
yeah,
I think the Nets, they need that go-to guy, but I don't think that they're in any rush to get that guy right now. I think they gotta. I don't know. I think they've got a good young squad, and I think they're pretty okay. Like I think they definitely are in need of a playmaker as well, but I think they're fine. They got a good they got a good young core. They got Mikal Bridges, they got Cam Thomas, they got Cam Johnson, they got as mentioned Dorian Finney-Smith. They got all these guys that can contribute in one way or another. Nick Claxton, Spencer Dinwiddie, who's older, but he's still has a use on this team. But I don't know if there's a whole lot of pressure for them to find that guy right now with all the picks that they've gotten from the Kevin Durant trade. I really just don't see like of a rush. I think I like to see them more as like a Houston Rockets kind of position. They don't really need it right now. They're just you've got good young players right now. So
I feel that. Yeah. And rumor has it that they're really trying to build around Mikal Bridges as their guy. I think it's possible. I mean, Mikal, he's a very good player. He's young. We've seen a lot of great things from him. And like you mentioned, they've got so many pieces around them. I think if anything, like on the block, we see Dorian Finney-Smith and Royce O'Neal. To me, these guys are almost interchangeable. They're really similar players, 3-and-D type of guys. I think you answer the phone, see what people are offering, that sort of thing, to maybe fill out the roster so it's more okay. Point guard, 2 guard, Mikal, then whatever else you want to put in there, just to make it make sense. I'm not a big Cam Thomas guy. All right, I'm not that much of a fan of what he has going on. What his value is, I have no idea. Mm-hmm. But if you can bring in an actual playmaker, some guy that's going to distribute, get guys involved, I think that would be nice for this team. But that's pretty much all I got. Any names that we missed?
I don't think so. I think maybe Keldon Johnson on the Spurs, maybe. Just maybe. I think right now with the Spurs that I'm seeing right now, and I think this has been this problem for them has been sticking out like a sore thumb. Jeremy Sohan is not a point guard. He is not a point guard.
I can't be a fan. I'm sorry. I can't be a fan of Sochan. Like I really can't. You're exactly right. The Spurs need a lot. They definitely need a lot. Keldon Johnson is an interesting name to keep an eye on. I think he has value. I really do. I really do. On what team? That's
I
the
think remains to
question.
be seen, but
Yeah, that's the
I think
question. Hmm.
I genuinely think that Keldon Johnson could be a use to some other team. I think you've already got your bona fide number 2 in Devin Vassell right next to Wemby.
Yeah,
You locked him down on a contract. I think you see what Keldon Johnson's value was around the league because you need a point guard fast.
I think
And
so.
I think if I'm Trey Jones, I'm pissed. I'm pissed that I'm not getting this sort of opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. It's like he's like a 1B type of point guard with Sochan, kind of, I don't know, being that Scotty Barnes type of guy for them. And it's just, it hasn't been pretty. They've kind of turned a corner, I feel like, in these winter months. I think they've been competitive, but I can't agree more about the Sochan thing. I don't know. I don't know what type of player he shakes out to be. I can't really see him being more than like a
Scotty Barnes light.
not even a Scotty Barnes. I'm thinking like an Aaron Gordon light. You know what I mean? I'm thinking of like a hustle guy. You know what I mean? Get the ball off the glass. Maybe you can push the ball up the floor a little bit, pass the rock a little bit, but
like a secondary or a third playmaker on a team. He's definitely not a primary playmaker. Like he can probably dish the rock maybe a little bit, but you definitely can't rely on him to do it every single night.
I think for him, I think for him, he's just got to hang his hat on the defensive end of things. If I can sit here and call him an elite defender in 2 to 3 years, I think he'll have a place. I think he'll have a place anywhere. But he's young. It's just not there yet. It's just not there yet. I don't know. I don't know. And that one-handed free throw has to go. Like, I don't care what he thinks works. That thing has to go. Like, just stop it. Just stop it. But I think we should go. Let's go ahead and wrap it here. Had a lot to talk about with this trade deadline. And I'm interested to see if we predicted anything that's to come. Like, I'm definitely gonna have to go back to this and see, like, okay, do we get this right? Do we get this destination correct?
Like, you know what we should have done? We should have had like all these post-it notes and like put them up and say like you know how the guys in the TNT, the guys on TNT, they do it. They do like before the season predictions. Like we should have done that. That would have been sick.
I still can. Like, this will be recorded, and I could go back to it and see what type of takes that we have. But come February,
post deadline, we revisit it, see what happens. Yeah. Maybe like around playoff time, we see what happens. Kind of, hey, like did this team improve? All this stuff. I think that would be really interesting. I think that would be a really fun episode.
That's true. We also could do that with the last episode we did, kind of predicting where we think.
Oh, right. I forgot about the one that took us like 2 hours, maybe over that.
Yeah, that's the one. So again, we'll go back to it, see how we did. And but Joey, I appreciate you as always. We definitely gotta have you back, of course.
It's been an honor,
everybody. Yes, sir. And everybody watching daily content coming, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, TikTok. Make sure y'all follow us all on that. Make sure y'all follow Joey. And we're out.
Support my guys, man.